He expected thanks for the rescue. She offered him something far more dangerous. Captain Elias Kane had never been one to ignore a distress signal. The blinking light on his ship's console drew his attention like a magnet, and something in his gut told him that this call was different from the usual accidental mayday or malfunctioning cargo drone. He had flown across the galaxy, braved storms in systems where stars themselves seemed unstable, and saved crews lost in the void. But there was an odd tension in the signal this time. The coordinates led him to the planet Zyrath, a world known in legends for its violent storms and lava-filled canyons. The planet's surface shimmered under its thin, hazy atmosphere, red and orange hues dancing across jagged mountain ranges, while ash fell from the skies in streaks that glowed with heat. It was not a place for ordinary travelers, and that fact made Elias curious. Elias maneuvered his small starship through the dense clouds, adjusting the stabilizers as violent winds buffeted the craft. The ship groaned under the strain, but he was experienced and knew how far it could be pushed. Ahead, a faint glimmer caught his eye, a shimmer too precise to be natural. The distress signal pulsed faster as he drew closer. Then he saw her. An alien woman was trapped in the wreckage of a small shuttle, suspended over a fissure of molten rock. Her ship had clearly broken apart and pieces of debris floated around her, caught in the magnetic turbulence of the planet. She was tall, elegant, and unlike any being Elias had ever seen. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the fiery glow of the fissure below, and her eyes were a deep luminescent blue, glowing with an inner light that seemed to pierce through the storm. Elias' instincts kicked in immediately. This was no time to hesitate. He put the ship into a hover, deployed his exogear, and activated the tether system. The wind tore at him like a living thing, trying to pull him away from the shuttle wreckage, but he held firm. Every movement had to be precise. One wrong step and both of them would plunge into the molten abyss below. He reached her, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. Her eyes met his, not with fear, but with calm recognition. Elias felt a strange chill in his chest, as though she could see right through him. He extended a hand, and she took it with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. Together, they maneuvered through the debris, and with a final surge of effort, Elias pulled her to safety, landing just beyond the edge of the fissure. The ground trembled beneath them, and a massive crack opened near where her ship had been. Molten rock hissed and spewed, releasing clouds of scorching steam. Elias crouched beside her, chest heaving, expecting some words of thanks, a relieved sigh, or perhaps tears. Instead, she looked at him with an unreadable expression and then spoke. "I should be thanking you," she said, her voice soft but commanding, melodic but carrying an undertone that made him stand straighter. "Instead, I have a proposition." Elias blinked. This was not the typical reaction he had encountered in dozens of rescue missions across the galaxy. Usually, survivors were frantic, grateful, or panicked. This woman was none of those things. She radiated confidence and purpose, as if she had been waiting for someone like him. "Proposition?" he asked cautiously, still gripping the tether cord. I don't understand." She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stood, brushing some ash from her shimmering clothing, her movements elegant and deliberate. "My name is Lysera," she said finally. "I am of the Ilari. You may not have heard of my kind, but once you do, you will understand why your actions here today have significance beyond your imagining." Elias had heard of many alien civilizations, some benevolent, some hostile, and some long lost to history. But the Ilari were spoken of only in whispers, in ancient galactic texts. They were said to be keepers of knowledge and power that predated most civilizations in the galaxy. That alone should have made him cautious, yet something in her calm presence made him lower his guard. "You were in danger," Elias said. "I only did what anyone would have done." Lysera's lips curved into a faint smile, and her eyes flicked toward the molten fissure, then back to him. "That is exactly why I need you. Most would have hesitated or acted selfishly. You did not. That quality is rare. She reached into the folds of her clothing and drew out a small crystalline device. It pulsed with a gentle light, almost as if it had a heartbeat. Elias instinctively leaned back, unsure if he should touch it. This, Lysera said, holding it delicately between her fingers, is more dangerous than anything you have faced. It has the ability to change outcomes in ways that no one else can, and I am offering it to you. Elias' mind raced. Dangerous, change outcomes. Was this some kind of weapon? He had been trained to handle dangerous technology, but the energy emanating from the artifact was different. It was alive in a sense, resonating with the environment, humming with a potential he could not fully comprehend. I don't know if I should take it, he said honestly. I've dealt with weapons, tools, even unstable energy cores, but this, I don't understand it. That is why you must try, she said softly, almost coaxing. Not everyone is capable of handling it, and it is not for the faint of heart. The Alari have kept this knowledge safe for millennia, and now circumstances demand that it be wielded by someone who can rise above fear and selfishness. You fit that description. Elias studied her carefully. There was no trickery in her eyes, no malice, only a quiet challenge. And yet, accepting something so potent felt like stepping into a world where one wrong move could destroy not just him, but countless others. I don't know, he repeated. His training told him to step back, to secure the artifact, to study it before acting. But curiosity gnawed at him. There was something about Lysera, about the calm authority she radiated, that made him consider her words seriously. You do not need to decide now, she said, slipping the crystal back into her garments. But understand this, once you touch it, you will be bound to it, and it will respond only to the one who proves themselves worthy. The galaxy will never be the same for you, nor for those who rely on you. Elias exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. The wind howled around them, ash fell from the sky, and the fissure below glowed with violent intensity. Yet in that moment, he felt a spark of possibility ignite inside him. What do you want me to do first? He asked, more to himself than to her. The thought of inaction was unbearable. Lysera's eyes brightened, and for the first time, she allowed herself a smile that felt almost human. Come with me. I will show you a place where you can test not only your courage, but your understanding of what it means to wield something greater than yourself. Elias hesitated only a moment. The storm of Xyrath raged on, the lava fissures threatened, and the very ground beneath them seemed unstable. Yet he trusted his instincts, and something told him that this was the beginning of a journey unlike any other he had ever faced. As they walked together toward the shuttle remnants, Elias could not shake the feeling that the galaxy itself had shifted in that instant. A path had opened, and it was dangerous, uncertain, and filled with challenges he could not yet imagine. But he also sensed opportunity, an opportunity to do more than he had ever done before, to rise beyond the limits of any human who had ever set foot among the stars. Lysera glanced at him once more. Are you ready? She asked. He nodded. I don't know what comes next, but yes. I'm ready. With that, the two of them boarded the salvaged shuttle, setting a course for the uncharted regions beyond Xyrath. The stormy planet fell behind them, and the glow of molten rock faded into the darkness of space. Elias felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. What had started as a simple rescue mission was now something far greater, a chance to encounter power, knowledge, and choices that could shape the galaxy itself. Lysera remained silent for the journey, but her presence was commanding. Elias could feel her awareness stretching out, as if she could perceive every star, every fluctuation in the energy around them. He realized that he was no longer just a human navigating space. He was stepping into a story where humans could be more than explorers, more than survivors. Humans could be shapers of fate if they had the courage to take the first step. The stars stretched endlessly before them, each one a reminder that the universe was vast and full of possibilities. Elias felt a determination harden in his chest. Whatever lay ahead, he would face it. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because the galaxy had entrusted him, through circumstance and choice, with something extraordinary. And he would not fail. Elias sat in the pilot's seat, hands resting on the controls, but his mind was elsewhere. Lysera had remained quiet since they left Xyrath, her eyes fixed on the stars as if she could see something beyond the ordinary reach of human perception. The artifact she had offered him, the small crystalline device, pulsed gently inside her palm. Its soft glow illuminated her features, making her silver-toned skin shimmer in the dim light of the shuttle. He studied it, feeling both awe and unease. The energy within it seemed alive, almost sentient, responding to subtle movements in the air around them. Elias had encountered strange technology before, but nothing like this. It was as if the device could sense intention, measuring the character of the one who approached it. Lysera finally spoke, her voice soft but carrying the weight of certainty. "You wonder why I offered this to you and why now," she said. "It is not merely a gift. It is a test. The galaxy is changing. Forces that have been dormant for centuries are awakening, and many would use that power for selfish ends. I need someone who can rise above that. Someone capable of responsibility, courage, and wisdom." Elias nodded slowly, though uncertainty gnawed at him. "I understand, but what exactly is it? I've never seen anything like it." She held it closer to him. The crystal's light reflected in his eyes, and for a moment he felt a strange warmth in his chest, almost as if it were connecting with him, speaking in a language beyond words. "This is the Elari's memory core," she explained. "It contains knowledge accumulated over millennia. Every discovery, every insight, every understanding of the universe, and it can grant its bearer abilities beyond normal comprehension. But it is dangerous. If misused, it could unravel not only the bearer's mind but the order of events in the galaxy itself." Elias swallowed. He had faced danger many times before, but this was different. The stakes were not life and death alone, but the balance of knowledge, power, and possibility. "And you think I can handle it?" he asked cautiously. Lysera smiled faintly, almost teasingly. "I do not think, Elias, I know. Your actions today in the face of danger proved something about you. You did not hesitate, you did not act out of fear or greed. You acted with courage and clarity. That is rare, even among the greatest warriors and leaders of the galaxy." He felt a mix of pride and doubt. It was flattering to be recognized, but the weight of the device made him uneasy. "What happens if I take it? If I try to use it?" "That is why you must first learn," Lysera said, setting a course for the shattered moon, a region of space filled with floating asteroids and areas where the laws of physics themselves seem to bend. The memory core responds to the character of the one who holds it. It can awaken potential that lies dormant in those who are worthy, but it will also test you, challenge you, and reveal weaknesses you may not even know exist. The journey was long, and Elias spent hours observing the artifact. He noticed that its light would intensify when he focused on calm thoughts or recalled moments of decision where he had acted selflessly. When frustration or doubt crept in, the glow dimmed, as if the device rejected negative impulses. Lysera observed him quietly, noting every reaction. "It does not respond to strength alone," she said. "It measures intention. Your mind, your heart, your ability to perceive consequences beyond immediate outcomes. This is why it cannot be handed to just anyone. Many would seek it for power or recognition, and it would destroy them." Elias looked out of the viewport at the asteroid field ahead. The shattered moon was a beautiful but dangerous place, rocks floating silently, reflecting light from distant stars. Navigating through it would require precision and calm, traits the device would surely test as well. When they arrived, Lysera guided him to a landing site on a massive asteroid, one that seemed to float more steadily than the others. "This is where your trial begins," she said. "The memory core will reveal challenges to test your ability to wield its power. These are not physical tests, but mental and moral ones. You will face visions, scenarios, and choices that may feel real. You must remain true to yourself, for the core reacts to the deepest part of your being." Elias nodded, trying to steady his nerves. He had faced impossible missions, survived storms that would have destroyed others, and navigated through hostile territories. Yet this was unlike anything he had ever encountered. It was not just survival. It was self-discovery, responsibility, and control over forces he could not yet comprehend. Lysera placed the artifact before him on a pedestal embedded in the asteroid's surface. "Reach out when you are ready," she instructed. "But remember, it is not enough to simply take it. You must engage with it fully, confront your fears, and understand the consequences of your choices." Elias took a deep breath and extended his hand. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, a surge of light coursed through him. It was not painful, but it was intense, like every nerve in his body was suddenly aware of the vastness of space and time. He saw flashes of distant planets, civilizations thriving and falling, wars that had never been fought, and decisions that could alter countless lives. He felt disoriented, almost overwhelmed, but Lysera's calm presence kept him grounded. "Focus," she said softly. "Do not let the visions control you. They are reflections of possibilities, not commands." The first challenge emerged almost immediately. A vision of a world in chaos appeared before him. Citizens ran in fear, fires raged, and a powerful storm threatened to destroy everything. In the vision, he had the ability to intervene, but every choice presented a risk. Helping one group might endanger another. Hesitation could lead to total loss. Elias realized that the core was testing his decision-making, his ability to prioritize and act with both courage and wisdom. He made a choice, directing energy to shield the vulnerable while minimizing risk to others. The vision shifted, acknowledging his decision with a pulse of light through the core. Next, the challenge became personal. He saw moments from his past, times when he had doubted himself, made mistakes, or acted impulsively. The core forced him to confront these memories, not with guilt but with understanding. He had to acknowledge his limitations, learn from them, and accept responsibility for his choices. Hours passed as he navigated through visions of countless scenarios, conflicts between civilizations, natural disasters, ethical dilemmas, and even choices involving life and death. Each time the core reacted to his intentions, strengthening its glow when he acted with clarity and purpose, dimming slightly when doubt or hesitation clouded his judgment. Lysera observed silently, occasionally offering guidance. "The core does not demand perfection," she said. "It seeks integrity. Your ability to remain honest with yourself, to act without selfishness, is what determines your worthiness." Finally, as the asteroid field around them rotated slowly in the void, Elias faced the last challenge. A vision of himself appeared, older, standing on a throne of influence, admired by many but surrounded by chaos and corruption. The core whispered possibilities. Use the power to dominate, to bend others to your will, or to manipulate outcomes for personal gain. Elias recoiled instinctively. The temptation was strong, subtle, almost seductive. But he remembered Lysera's words, the trust she had shown in offering the artifact, and the responsibility it represented. He closed his eyes, centering himself, and envisioned a different path, one where his power was used not for control, but for guidance, protection, and the betterment of others. The core pulsed brightly, the energy flowing through him like a river of light. Elias felt a profound sense of connection, not just to the artifact, but to the galaxy itself. He understood in that moment that power without integrity was meaningless. The memory core had chosen him, not for ambition or desire, but for his willingness to act with responsibility and courage. Lysera stepped forward, her expression one of approval. "You have passed the trial," she said. "The Corps recognizes you as its bearer. But remember, this is only the beginning. Knowledge and power come with consequences, and the galaxy will test you in ways that may be far more challenging than any vision." Elias exhaled, feeling both relief and anticipation. He had faced fears, ethical dilemmas, and the pull of temptation, and emerged with clarity. Yet he knew that true challenges were yet to come. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of forces beyond human understanding. But for the first time, he felt ready to face them, armed with knowledge, integrity, and the artifact that connected him to possibilities far beyond ordinary comprehension. Lysera's smile widened slightly. "Now, we prepare for the journey ahead. There are worlds in need, situations that demand intervention, and mysteries that can only be understood by someone who can wield the core responsibly. Are you ready to step into that role, Elias Kane?" He looked at her, then at the artifact, and nodded firmly. "Yes, I am ready." The stars beyond the shattered moon stretched endlessly, each one a reminder of the vastness and potential of the galaxy. Elias knew that his life, once defined by ordinary missions and survival, had been transformed. He was no longer just a captain navigating space. He was a guardian of knowledge, a bearer of responsibility, and a human whose courage and integrity could shape the future of countless worlds. As the shuttle departed from the asteroid field, the core's glow pulsed steadily, a beacon of potential and promise. Elias felt a profound sense of purpose. The journey ahead would be filled with uncertainty, challenges, and choices that demanded wisdom and courage. But he was no longer acting alone. With Lysera's guidance and the Core's connection, he would face the galaxy with a strength beyond ordinary comprehension. And for the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be more than human, not through physical strength or battle, but through character, courage, and the ability to wield knowledge and power with integrity. The universe waited. And Elias Kane was ready. The journey from the shattered moon was unlike any flight Elias had undertaken. Space itself seemed to pulse with energy, and the artifact, now securely in his possession, responded to his movements, almost as if it were alive. Lysera sat beside him, serene and unreadable, watching the stars shift and dance in ways that made Elias feel both insignificant and powerful at once. For hours, the silence between them was profound. Elias tried to process everything he had experienced: the visions, the ethical challenges, the glimpses of possibilities. The memory core had tested him in ways he could not fully articulate. It had shown him paths of temptation and shortcuts that might have been easier but morally wrong. It had revealed his fears, weaknesses, and doubts. And yet through it all, he had emerged focused and resolute, proving to the core, and perhaps to himself, that he was capable of something extraordinary. Lysera finally spoke, her voice calm but carrying weight. "The trial was only the beginning, Elias. The core does not reveal all of its potential at once. You must learn to understand it, to feel its rhythm, and to act in harmony with it. Otherwise, its power could become overwhelming." Elias nodded. "I've felt its power, Lysera. It's different from anything I've known. It's like it sees everything I'm thinking, everything I could do. I can feel it testing me, guiding me. I just hope I can keep up with it." "You will," she said simply, "but tests will continue. The galaxy itself will challenge you. You must be prepared to face situations that demand not just strength, but wisdom, patience, and understanding." Their course led them to a system not marked on any standard star maps. It was a place of quiet beauty, filled with pale green stars that bathed the surrounding planets in gentle light. One planet in particular caught Elias' attention, a lush world covered in forests, rivers, and oceans, almost serene in comparison to the dangerous and storm-ravaged Xyrath. Lysera's eyes narrowed as they approached. "This is Eldora," she explained. "A world on the brink of disaster. Its civilizations are unaware of the forces converging around them. The core has sensed imbalance here. You will see how your decisions affect not just individuals but entire societies." Elias leaned forward, studying the planet through the viewport. He could see cities sprawling across verdant plains, smoke rising from industrial centers, and communities moving along rivers that glittered under the stars' light. It seemed peaceful at first glance, but he knew better. The core had indicated danger, and Lysera had not brought him here for sightseeing. Upon landing on Eldora, they were greeted not by hostile forces or conflict, but by a community in disarray. The citizens were busy preparing for a storm, an unusual weather pattern that threatened to flood the lower cities and destroy essential resources. Elias could see panic in their movements, people running, families gathering what they could, and leaders attempting to organize the response. "This is your first real test," Lysera said quietly. "The core has shown you visions, but now you face reality. How will you intervene?" Elias took a deep breath and stepped out onto the streets, the artifact glowing faintly in his hand. He felt its energy guiding him subtly, not forcing him, but suggesting possibilities he might not otherwise consider. He observed the chaos, noting where help was most needed and where a small intervention could save many. He approached a group struggling to reinforce a bridge over a swollen river. Using the core, he subtly altered the material's cohesion, making the beams stronger and lighter without anyone realizing. The bridge stabilized instantly, preventing what could have been a disastrous collapse. People looked around in wonder, unaware that Elias had acted, but their relief was palpable. Lysera observed from a distance, a small smile playing on her lips. "The core is teaching you subtlety," she said. "It does not always provide obvious solutions. Your ability to perceive and act wisely will determine your success." Next, a series of smaller crises appeared, fires breaking out due to lightning strikes, families trapped in collapsing buildings, and resources threatened by rising waters. Elias acted with precision, using the core to stabilize, guide, and protect without drawing attention to himself. He began to understand the delicate balance the artifact demanded. Power was not for display, but for careful, responsible use. Hours passed, and as the storm began to subside, Elias noticed something troubling. A group of children had been left near a riverbank, too small to move on their own, and the water was rising quickly. The core pulsed in his hand, almost as if urging him to act decisively. Without hesitation, he focused on the energy within it, creating a subtle shield that lifted the children to safety. The moment they were secure, the glow of the core softened, as though acknowledging his correct choice. Lysera approached him afterward, her expression serious. "You are learning quickly, Elias, but remember, the core does not merely reward action. It also measures intent. Every choice you make must be guided by clarity and purpose, not impulse or pride." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I understand. It's more than I imagined. Not just power, but the way I use it. Every action matters." She smiled faintly. "Exactly. Now there is another challenge. One that will test not just your skill and intent, but your ability to understand consequences over time." Before he could ask, the artifact pulsed brightly, and Elias found himself surrounded by a vision unlike any he had seen before. He was no longer on Eldora, but observing the planet from above, seeing events unfold over decades in moments. He watched leaders make decisions that affected generations, natural disasters strike, and communities rebuild. Every action, no matter how small, caused ripples that spread across time. Elias realized that this was a lesson in foresight. The core was showing him that his choices, and those of others, could have lasting impact. He could intervene, yes, but he must understand not just immediate consequences, but long-term ones as well. He focused, using the artifact to simulate outcomes, testing how different actions might affect the planet. He guided leaders subtly, offering advice through intuition and insight, ensuring that their choices would create stability and growth rather than chaos. It was exhausting, both mentally and emotionally, but he felt a sense of accomplishment as he watched positive outcomes unfold. Finally, the vision receded, leaving him back on Eldora, the storm fully abated. The citizens were safe, and the planet seemed more balanced, as though the core's influence had restored harmony. Elias looked at Lysera, exhausted but exhilarated. "You have done well," she said, her voice calm but warm. "You have begun to understand the true purpose of the core. It is not a weapon. It is a guide, a tool to shape the future responsibly, and it responds to those who act with clarity, integrity, and compassion." Elias exhaled, feeling both relief and anticipation. "It's incredible. I can feel it like it's part of me now, but also heavy. Every decision matters and I'm just one person." "That is why you are special," Lysera replied. "Many would falter under this responsibility. You are learning to wield it wisely, and that is what makes you different. Humanity itself has potential beyond what most believe, Elias. You are proof of that." Her words struck him. For centuries, humans had been underestimated across the galaxy, considered fragile, impulsive, or reckless. Yet here he was, a human, entrusted with an artifact that could shape worlds. It was not brute strength or advanced technology alone that mattered, but courage, wisdom, and moral clarity, qualities that humans could possess in abundance. The lessons of Eldora stayed with him long after they departed the planet. Elias reflected on the choices he had made, the lives he had influenced, and the ripple effects he could not yet fully see. The core had revealed both the power and responsibility of action, and he understood that his journey was just beginning. Lysera remained by his side, a steady presence and guide. "We will travel further," she said. "There are civilizations in need, challenges that will test you in new ways, and knowledge that only the core can reveal. You are ready, but readiness is not enough. You must remain vigilant, humble, and aware." Elias nodded. The universe stretched out before him, vast and full of possibilities. He no longer felt the fear and uncertainty that had accompanied him to Xyrath. Instead, he felt purpose, a sense of mission that transcended his previous understanding of exploration or duty. The stars beyond the shuttle window seemed to shimmer in response to the core's presence, a subtle acknowledgement of the partnership between human and artifact, between Elias and Lysera. He knew that the galaxy held challenges far greater than any storm or fissure, but he felt ready to face them, armed with knowledge, insight, and the growing understanding that humans could be more than they had ever imagined. And so, as the shuttle glided through the endless void, Elias Kane embraced the journey ahead. The core pulsed steadily in his hand, a living reminder of potential, responsibility, and the extraordinary future that awaited. With Lysera as his guide, he was ready to step into a role that no ordinary human could hold, a bearer of knowledge, a guardian of worlds, and a pioneer who would shape the galaxy not through violence or force, but through courage, wisdom, and integrity. The universe awaited him, and he would not fail. The shuttle glided silently through the void, past distant stars and uncharted planets. Elias sat in the cockpit, hands resting lightly on the controls, but his mind was entirely focused on the memory core. Its gentle glow pulsed in response to his thoughts, almost as if it were alive, listening and anticipating. He could feel its presence in a way that was both comforting and overwhelming. It had become a part of him, yet it demanded responsibility, vigilance, and clarity. Lysera remained beside him, calm and composed, her silver-toned skin shimmering in the soft light of the core. "Your work on Eldora was impressive," she said quietly, her voice carrying warmth beneath the measured tone. "But the galaxy has challenges that will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. What you did there was necessary, but it was only the beginning. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her words. Eldora had been a trial in subtlety, foresight, and ethical decision-making. He had acted to protect lives, stabilize communities, and anticipate long-term consequences. But Lysera's warning reminded him that there were far greater challenges waiting, ones that might not be solved by good intentions alone. Their next destination was a cluster of planets called the Luminar System, a region known for its scientific research colonies. The system was peaceful in appearance, with crystalline oceans reflecting sunlight from its 3 suns, and cities that sparkled like jewels on the planetary surfaces. Yet the core had detected imbalance here, a misalignment of knowledge, energy, and cooperation that threatened the well-being of the inhabitants. Upon landing on the largest planet, Elias immediately noticed something unusual. The cities were advanced, with towers reaching into the sky and networks of transport linking each district seamlessly. Yet the people moved with tension in their steps, speaking in hurried tones, and the streets were unusually crowded. The air seemed charged with anxiety. "This is different from Eldora," Elias remarked, adjusting the core in his hand. "There's no immediate danger like storms or floods." "What is it?" Lysera's eyes narrowed. "Knowledge can be just as dangerous as natural disasters. Here, factions compete for control over information. Miscommunication and selfish ambition threaten not only progress but the stability of the entire system. Your role is to guide, not impose. Subtlety and wisdom are required, perhaps more than you've used before." Elias stepped onto the streets, feeling the core's energy vibrating in response to the surrounding tension. He focused, allowing the artifact to guide him in understanding the true sources of conflict. He could see where resources were hoarded, where misunderstandings created friction, and where ambition blinded judgment. Each observation felt like a thread in a vast web, and the core illuminated paths through it that he might take to restore balance. He approached a group of researchers arguing over energy allocation for a major project. One faction wanted to redirect resources toward their own experiments, while another insisted that the energy should be shared. Using the core subtly, Elias nudged their perspectives, allowing empathy and understanding to rise naturally. Arguments softened, and a tentative plan for cooperation emerged, surprising everyone. Lysera observed silently, her expression calm but attentive. "You are beginning to understand the power of influence," she said. "The core does not grant authority over others. It reveals potential, clarifies intentions, and allows you to guide situations without domination. That is its true purpose." Hours passed as Elias worked through one challenge after another. He mediated disputes, anticipated consequences of poorly coordinated projects, and subtly influenced decisions to prevent future crises. The core responded to his every choice, glowing brighter when he acted with integrity and clarity, dimming only slightly when he wavered or second-guessed himself. Yet the true test arrived unexpectedly. A massive experiment designed to harness the energy of the planet's suns threatened to destabilize the local environment. If mismanaged, it could create a chain reaction affecting multiple cities and potentially decades of scientific progress. Elias could feel the core pulsing urgently, guiding him toward intervention. He analyzed the situation, tracing the flow of energy and identifying weak points in the containment fields. The challenge was not simply technical, it required coordination, persuasion, and careful timing. Elias approached the lead scientists, offering insights and suggestions subtly enough that they thought the solutions had come from their own reasoning. Slowly, the core helped him guide the project toward stability, averting disaster without anyone realizing how close they had come to failure. When the immediate danger passed, Elias felt exhaustion wash over him. The core's energy seemed to mirror his own fatigue, pulsing softly as if to remind him that vigilance must be constant. Lysera placed a hand lightly on his shoulder, a rare gesture of reassurance. "You have done more here than I expected," she said. "You are learning the art of balance, the subtle influence of wisdom, and the responsibility of knowledge. These are the qualities that elevate a human beyond ordinary limitations." Elias exhaled, leaning back against the console. "It's overwhelming at times. The core shows possibilities, outcomes, and consequences. Every decision matters, and even a small mistake can ripple across the system." "Precisely," Lysera replied. "That is why humanity is remarkable. Most species would crumble under such responsibility. But your ability to act with intention, clarity, and empathy is why you were chosen. The core does not see your species as weak, it sees potential. And you, Elias Kane, are proof of what humans can achieve." Her words filled him with a quiet pride, but also a sense of humility. He had thought of himself as capable, trained, and experienced. Yet the core had revealed the depth of responsibility, the subtlety required in leadership, and the power of integrity. It was not raw strength or advanced technology that mattered. It was the character, courage, and wisdom that humans could bring to the galaxy. As the days passed on Luminar, Elias encountered new challenges. He helped resolve disputes between planetary governors, guided communities toward sustainable development, and even intervened in situations where cultural misunderstandings threatened to escalate. Each time the core responded, illuminating the paths of moral clarity and constructive action. Lysera began to teach him deeper lessons. "The core's purpose is not to make decisions for you," she explained during a quiet moment in their shuttle. "It is to reveal possibilities, illuminate consequences, and strengthen your understanding. You must act, but you must also reflect. Every choice, no matter how small, contributes to the pattern of the universe." Elias nodded, absorbing the lesson. He had begun to sense the weight of time, the interconnectedness of actions, and the subtle power of guidance. The core was not a weapon or a tool of domination. It was a mirror, revealing the best and worst that could arise from every choice. One evening, as the sun set over the crystalline oceans of Luminar, Elias reflected on the journey so far. He thought of Xyrath, the storm-ravaged world where he had rescued Lysera, of Eldora, where he had faced visions of chaos and learned the weight of foresight, and now Luminar, where knowledge, cooperation, and subtle influence determined the well-being of entire civilizations. Each step had tested him, shaped him, and prepared him for challenges yet unseen. Lysera joined him on the observation deck, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "You have grown," she said, "not in strength or skill alone, but in understanding, patience, and moral clarity. The galaxy will demand more from you, Elias, and you will be ready." He looked at her, feeling a sense of companionship he had not expected. She was not just a guide. She was a mentor, a partner, and a living example of the responsibility the core represented. "I feel it," he admitted. "The core, it's more than I imagined. It's not about power or control. It's about understanding, guiding, and protecting. And I think I'm beginning to see what it means to be human in this galaxy." Lysera smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the light of the setting suns. "Yes, Elias, humans are capable of greatness beyond what most species comprehend. Courage, compassion, creativity, and moral clarity, these are the qualities that allow your kind to rise. You are a living proof of that potential." As night fell on Luminar, Elias remained at the observation deck, the core glowing softly in his hand. He felt a deep sense of purpose, an understanding that his journey was only beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. And he was no longer just a human navigating space. He was a guardian of knowledge, a guide for civilizations, and a symbol of what humanity could achieve when courage, integrity, and wisdom were applied with care. The universe awaited him, and he would not falter. The shuttle glided through the silent expanse of space, the stars stretching endlessly before them. Elias Kane sat in the pilot's seat, the memory core glowing steadily in his hand. It had become an extension of himself, a living reminder of the lessons he had learned: courage, wisdom, foresight, and moral clarity. He had faced storms, ethical dilemmas, and situations where the balance of entire civilizations rested on his choices. Now a new challenge awaited, one that would test not only his abilities but the very essence of what it meant to be human. Lysera sat beside him, her presence calm yet commanding, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had shared. "The galaxy is shifting," she said quietly. "Forces long dormant are stirring. Worlds that were isolated are now interconnected, and consequences spread faster than ever before. Your next task is to confront the culmination of what you have learned, to apply the core's knowledge in a situation that will define the future of entire systems." Elias nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and determination. He had learned to act with integrity, guide without imposing, and see the ripple effects of his choices. Now, the galaxy demanded more than careful action; it demanded vision. Their destination was the Solara Nexus, a cluster of interconnected planets that served as the hub for trade, research, and governance in the surrounding systems. Normally a place of prosperity and collaboration, the Nexus now displayed signs of tension: disputes over resources, miscommunication between planetary leaders, and unrest among the citizenry. Elias could sense the strain through the core, a subtle vibration of imbalance that called for careful intervention. Upon landing on the central planet, he immediately noticed the signs of discord. Representatives from multiple worlds argued heatedly in public forums, citizens questioned leadership decisions, and projects designed for the common good were stalled by bureaucratic conflicts. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the core's guidance pulse in response. It was time to act, not through force, but through understanding, foresight, and moral clarity. He began by observing the interactions of the leaders. Each faction had valid concerns, yet they were so focused on their own objectives that they failed to see the bigger picture. Elias could see where compromise was possible, where communication could be improved, and where subtle guidance could prevent disaster. He allowed the core to illuminate potential solutions, revealing paths that balanced interests without favoring one group over another. He approached the leaders individually, offering insights through careful conversation and suggestion. Using the core's subtle energy, he guided their perceptions, helping them recognize common goals and shared responsibilities. Slowly, tensions eased. Agreements that had seemed impossible a few hours earlier began to take shape. Lysera observed silently, a faint smile on her face. "You are demonstrating mastery," she said. "The core responds not to control, but to clarity of purpose. You are proving that humans can achieve greatness when guided by integrity and understanding." Hours turned into a full day as Elias worked tirelessly, navigating delicate negotiations, anticipating consequences, and steering the Nexus toward balance. The core pulsed steadily, affirming his choices, but also reminding him that vigilance must be constant. The task was exhausting, yet deeply fulfilling. He realized that true leadership was not about dominance or power. It was about vision, empathy, and the ability to see the connections between actions and outcomes. As night fell over the central planet, Elias was called to a private meeting with the Nexus Council. Representatives from every planet gathered, waiting to hear a solution to the conflicts that had plagued their system. Elias stood before them, the core glowing faintly in his hand. He felt the weight of responsibility, yet also the quiet strength that came from experience, understanding, and purpose. "Leaders of the Nexus," he began, his voice calm and confident, "you face challenges not because of malice but because of complexity. Your systems are interconnected, your decisions affect countless lives, and your ambitions, though valid, must be balanced with the needs of others. I do not claim to have all the answers, but I have learned that cooperation, understanding, and foresight can guide you to solutions that benefit all. He shared practical recommendations, emphasizing collaboration, resource sharing, and communication. He highlighted areas where compromise could prevent conflict and suggested strategies to ensure long-term stability. The core's energy subtly influenced the room, heightening awareness, empathy, and clarity among the council members. By the time he finished, the atmosphere had shifted. The council, once tense and divided, now discussed solutions with openness and cooperation. The leaders recognized the value of balanced action and began implementing the strategies Elias had outlined. The citizens outside, witnessing the change, responded with hope and renewed trust in their leadership. Lysera stepped beside him afterward, her expression proud. "You have done more than I expected," she said softly. "You have taken what the core has shown you and applied it with wisdom, patience, and courage. You have proven that humans are capable of shaping not just their own destiny, but the future of entire civilizations." Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The core had been a guide, but it had been his choices, integrity, and understanding that made the difference. He realized that human potential was not defined by strength, technology, or aggression. It was defined by character, vision, and the ability to act with moral clarity. In the following days, Elias continued to work with the Nexus. He addressed disputes, guided research projects toward collaboration, and helped leaders recognize long-term consequences of their decisions. Each action reinforced his understanding of the core's purpose. It was not to grant power, but to amplify understanding and responsibility. Through these efforts, the system stabilized. Citizens regained confidence in their leaders. Projects advanced with renewed cooperation, and the Nexus became a model of what thoughtful guidance and integrity could achieve. Elias realized that this was the ultimate expression of the core's potential. Not domination, not fear, but the elevation of entire civilizations through wisdom and understanding. One evening, as he stood on a balcony overlooking the thriving central city, Lysera joined him. The three suns of the planet had set, leaving a sky of twinkling stars reflected in the crystalline oceans below. "You have reached a milestone, Elias," she said. "The galaxy will remember this. Not because of battles fought or enemies conquered, but because of the choices you have made, the guidance you have offered, and the integrity you have shown." He nodded, feeling the weight and the pride of her words. "I never thought being human could be so significant," he admitted. "I used to think it was about survival, technology, or combat, but this is different. It's about understanding, guiding, and making choices that matter." Lysera smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans are often underestimated, but your species possesses qualities that can shape the galaxy in profound ways: courage, empathy, creativity, and moral clarity. You have proven that today. The memory core chose you not for your strength, but for your character. That is the true measure of greatness." Elias looked out at the city, reflecting on everything he had experienced: the rescue on Zyrath, the trials on Eldora, the guidance of civilizations on Luminar, and now the stabilization of the Solara Nexus. Each challenge had tested him, expanded his understanding, and revealed the potential of humanity. He realized that the core's true lesson was not about power, it was about possibility. It revealed what could be achieved when humans acted with integrity, courage, and vision. It was a reminder that one individual, guided by purpose and wisdom, could influence not just immediate events, but the future of countless lives and worlds. Lysera placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch light but grounding. "Your journey is far from over, Elias. The galaxy will continue to present challenges, and the memory core will continue to guide you. But remember this: the most powerful force in the universe is not technology or strength. It is the courage, wisdom, and integrity of those who act with purpose." Elias felt a profound sense of clarity. He had been tested, guided, and challenged. He had faced visions, ethical dilemmas, and complex situations that stretched his understanding. Yet through it all, he had emerged not just as a capable human, but as a symbol of human potential, a living testament to what could be achieved through courage, moral clarity, and wisdom. As the night deepened and the stars glittered above the Nexus, Elias looked at Lysera and then at the core. "I understand now," he said. "It's not about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about understanding, guiding, and making choices that matter. That's what humans can do. That's what we are capable of." Lysera's smile widened, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "And you have shown the galaxy that humans are more than they were ever believed to be. You are proof of their potential, Elias Kane. Never forget that." The core pulsed gently in his hand, a living connection to knowledge, wisdom, and possibility. Elias felt a sense of peace and determination. He knew that challenges would come, that the galaxy would continue to shift and evolve, but he was ready. He had the guidance of Lysera, the insight of the memory core, and the courage and wisdom to act with purpose. And in that moment, Elias Kane understood something profound. The greatest force in the universe was not weapons, not conquest, nor fear. It was the human spirit. The ability to act with courage, integrity, and foresight could shape worlds, guide civilizations, and inspire hope across the stars. The galaxy awaited him, full of challenges and opportunities, and he was ready to meet it. Not as a soldier or a conqueror, but as a human capable of extraordinary achievement. With the memory core glowing softly in his hand and Lysera by his side, Elias looked out at the stars, knowing that his journey was far from over, but that humanity, through courage, wisdom, and moral clarity, could rise to meet whatever the universe had in store. And so, the human who had begun as a simple rescuer on a storm-ravaged world now stood as a beacon of hope and possibility for the galaxy. A reminder that even in the vastness of space, one person, guided by integrity and courage, could change the course of countless lives and inspire a universe to see the true potential of humanity. The stars stretched endlessly before him, full of unknown worlds, adventures, and choices. Elias Kane smiled, feeling the pulse of the memory core in harmony with his own heart. The journey would continue, but one truth remained clear: humans were capable of greatness beyond measure. And this was only the beginning.